Hello and welcome to another edition of Breakfast Club. Today I'm joined by David and 2014-15 FPL champion Simon March. Firstly, Simon, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Joe. How are
And
you?
yeah, I'm very good, and it's great to have you on the show. It's been we almost had you last week, but I was taken ill, and so that didn't happen. And I think you had some internet issues, so it just wasn't going to happen. But this week it will finally. And before we come to your team, welcome to David as well. David, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. And yeah, like yourself, Joe, very excited to have Simon, a former champion, with us today. Feel honoured.
Yes, no, it's exciting. So, and hopefully we're going to have some exciting transfers as well. And one of the missions today for me and Simon is to try and convince David to spend
Oh, yeah.
5 million that's sitting in his bank that he's very tempted to spend. But firstly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put Simon's team up first, and he's going to tell us a bit about his what moves he's made. So we've got your team up there now. I can see Rashford there. Is he new in, and has Kane departed?
Yes, yeah, I did the absolute, probably most obvious move that everybody seems to have done this week, and yeah, it's Kane out for Rashford with my one free transfer.
Yes, no, I mean, okay, so, I mean, all week we've been talking about the reasons why that, but for you, why did you decide to make that move rather than, say, Aubameyang, or perhaps use that move and that money to improve your midfield, for example? So why did you decide on that move?
Well, if Aguero had definitely been starting, I would have been really tempted to move for him. But the doubts over whether or not he'll start is too much of a question mark, I think. And I think looking at Rashford, and actually it wasn't as easy a choice as as it might seem, because if I have one rule in fantasy football, it's to never bring in a player that's not 100% nailed on long term. And as much as people will say, Rashford is number one. He is number one at the moment, but they've also got Lukaku on the bench, and Rashford's performing a lot better than him at the moment. But you've got to think that Solskjaer's going to feel some pressure having that kind of player on the bench for too long. So, I just kind of wonder. But looking at it, I think his next two fixtures are absolutely brilliant. His statistics are actually really good. They're actually, over the last four, they're better than the Aubameyang's. And actually, if you look at the two of those over the whole season, there's actually not that much difference between them. But more lately, Rashford's been getting more chances at a higher rate than Aubameyang. So he just feels like a bit of a no-brainer, even if it's a fairly short-term move.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll talk about my moves as well, but a bit later. But I will say I've got Rashford in as well, just quickly now, because it helps what I'm about to say. This is the first time I've ever had Rashford in my team. Now he's been knocking around for a couple of seasons now, and I've always liked him, and he's always great when he plays. And to be honest, when he plays, he tends to score as well. But like you, it's that kind of what's the golden rule of FPL: get nailed on players, and that's what always stopped me. This is why I love this time, because players like yourself and me, we have the assurance now that he's going to play. We've got a new player. This is a whole new FPL. For the first time, I think Rashford is no longer this kind of bizarre differential that you get in because you think, he's gonna, no one's gonna get him in because we don't know whether he's going to play now. He's been rocketing in price, rocketing in ownership. He's actually a fantasy asset. We've got a new player. Fantastic. Looking elsewhere in your team as well. Okay, so your captain Salah. I don't know if we need to say why, but let's go for it anyway, because you do have some other options there. For example, with your Manchester United players and also Hazard as well. So it's fairly evident why you've gone for Salah, but just in your words, why Salah for the captaincy?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the consistency of form and Liverpool's form as well. Playing at home. And also, I mean, you've got to factor in the ownership as well. If there was somebody else that was a really, really stellar captaincy option, I would potentially go for them over Salah. But he's on paper and in recent form, he's the best option this week. And yeah, there's not really anyone that close to him. I think Hazard might do well against Arsenal. I think I'm not saying it's an easy fixture by any stretch, but I think one of the problems that Hazard's had recently is that he's been playing against very teams that sit very low in defence, and Arsenal just won't do that, or are unlikely to do that. So I think this might actually be a game where he performs well. And actually, looking at it, I think that Salah might have similar problems against Crystal Palace. I don't think they're going to be a walkover by any means, but you just got to factor in the possibility that Salah, with his ownership, could score a hat-trick. He's going to be the most captained player this week. I'm happy to look at getting differential points from the rest of my team and playing it safe with the captain.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, obviously I'm going to agree there. I do
as well.
But Hazard, I think it's not that I fear him anymore, because I don't think owners want to captain him anymore because he's let them down. So I don't think, even though his ownership's still high, that he's going to be he's a captain challenger to Salah. But exactly as you said there, and the next game is Bournemouth for Chelsea as well, and Hazard traditionally scores well against them, and that's evidence of what you've just said, because Bournemouth never sit back, and so that plays into the hands of quality players like Hazard. They're not being frustrated. Just like in the international games, we see England against, I don't know, Liechtenstein or whatever, and you've just got 11 men behind. It's just awful. And then they only win like 1-0 or 2-0, and people say, why didn't they win 7-0? Because it's really hard. Just even if just having 11 lumps in front of you, even if they're all hopeless. But obviously in the Premier League, they're not hopeless. One of the things I also like about Salah this week is because, yes, Crystal Palace can do well, and I think people are being a bit masked by the Man City result. They're seeing that and thinking, oh wow, if they can do that to City, maybe they can do that to Liverpool. But I mean, we've been here before talking about City, and it's Fernandinho was out that game, and City were just a different team. They were just a different team. They couldn't really defend so well, and they couldn't attack as well. Their fluidity had gone. And also, it must be remembered that Palace conceded twice in that game. We need a goal and assist from Salah, and we're doing well, those of us who captained him. Another thing as well in their favour, in Salah's favour really, is that away from home recently, Crystal Palace got beaten 3-0. Sorry, not 3-0, but they conceded 3 goals to West Ham and Brighton, who are not Liverpool, to put it mildly. So I look at those results there, plus the fact that they're down to their third choice goalkeeper, Speroni, who, I mean, top goalkeepers are, top goalkeeper, but he's third choice at Palace, so is that a top goalkeeper? And that's, yeah, but I think you're doing well. So looking elsewhere in your team as well, and I guess this is looking a bit further ahead, really. What's your kind of your tentative next transfers, really?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting one because now I have a surplus of cash, having sold Kane. I've got about 4.5 in the bank, which is a very nice problem to have. And so I had actually considered potentially taking a hit this week and moving Richarlison out and getting in Sterling. But more likely, I think I can do Masuaku to Ali. So I might wait until after the League Cup match, so we can see a little bit more, how Ali's doing, and also how Spurs, shape up without Son and without Kane. But I mean, he looks like a really viable transfer going forward.
That's a really sexy transfer, that
is. It is sexy.
Ali.
I don't know if you saw the scout class this week, but we were saying about how super sexy Ali is without Kane. Bodes well.
And they've got 3 home fixtures coming up, and they're all good fixtures as well. And so if Spurs show signs that they can cope without those 2 players, and I think they might actually struggle a little bit. At least in the early stages against Fulham. But if they hit their stride and Ali is central to it, then he's an absolutely fantastic choice, and quite a big differential as well. So that would probably be the move that I'll be looking at.
Yeah. So I mean, so this is like a test for you. This is like a real kind of trial, a pilot, the Ali pilot episode. and you're seeing how he goes. And then, as you said, so looking at the fixture, you've got Watford and Newcastle at home, Leicester at home as well, and then Burnley away. This is taking, and then it goes to Chelsea away. But this is taking into account if Spurs don't progress in the League Cup final, which they may not.
Without Kane and Vats on.
Without Kane and Son, yes. So they could indeed have those fixtures there. I'll talk about it a bit as well. But the Ali move was one I was really considering, and it's a 50-50 call I've personally made not to do that, which I'll talk about a bit later. But I feel I'm going to regret it. I think I might get Ali in my Sky team. I might hedge a bit there, although hedging's a bit dangerous in these games. I think so. David, what do you think of Simon's team? It looks in pretty good shape there, especially with 5 million in the bank and kind of plans already hatching.
No, I think it looks great, and I'll kind of allude a little bit to the problems that I was having. I've got that second free transfer, so I was in a similar position where I've got 5.2 in the bank. I could do Snodgrass to De Bruyne. I could do Snodgrass to Ali. I could do Richarlison to Hazard to Sterling. Basically, I could return Richarlison to whoever I want. I've got all of these options I could do with the second transfer. So then to see someone else say, do you know what? I'm going to hold off, wait for a bit more information on the blanks in game week 27, because effectively all of the premium midfielders that anyone can sign right now, they're all people who are definitely going to blank if they're a Man City player, or they could blank if they're Spurs and Chelsea. And actually using any of your free transfers at this stage, without that knowledge, it seems maybe a bit counterintuitive. Whereas if you're happy with your team, I think Simon's team looks very good, because I think it's quite similar to mine, to be honest. So I think it's a good 11 this week. If you're happy with it and you've either got a transfer left over or you don't want to take a hit, waiting for more information just seems like the absolutely right thing to do, because then you can sign Dele Alli next week knowing he will play in game week 27, or you can maybe go for Hazard because he won't play, or he will play in game week 27 because he's not going to be in the League Cup final. So I absolutely think that's the right thing to do. I've been thinking that I was going to do the same. So then when a former champion comes in here and with a similar thought process to me, that obviously is quite encouraging. So I can't complain.
It's good. I was expecting you guys to try and psych me into taking a hit. I've seen this happen before on the Breakfast Club.
It's too late now. The deadline has now passed. And David, can you reveal the team news? And are you about to reveal something shocking about the Wolves team sheet as well?
I believe I am, yes.
Oh, no.
I believe I am. So it appears that Matt Doherty's on the bench.
No.
What's going on? And knowing what?
No.
Wow. I've got no words. Just end the stream now.
You are the crusher of dreams, the destroyer.
Well, technically that's Nuno. Technically Nuno's the one who's done that. To give the full lineup, it's 3-4-1-2. Patricio obviously in goal. Bennett, Cody, and then Donker, because obviously Bolly is suspended. Then the wing backs we've got Ruben Vinagre on the left and Johnny on the right. I think we knew that Johnny could play on the right, but I mean Doherty was just he was the dot. There seemed to be no reason to drop him, but we'll probably get some more quotes from Nuno maybe pre-match as to why that's happened. Saiss and Neves in the middle with Moutinho as number 10, Jimenez and Jota as the front two. Then the Leicester team, Schmeichel in goal, Chilwell, Maguire, Morgan and Simpson. So a rare start for him. And Ndidi and Mendy in a holding pair in a 4-2-3-1. Harvey Barnes gets his first start since coming back from West Brom on the left. Damari Gray at 10. Ricardo Pereira in attacking midfield again on the right with Vardy up front. And with them, I suppose the surprise benching is James Maddison is on the bench today. Alongside Martin Brighton as well.
So there are a few Maddison owners knocking about. So all of us, I'm right in saying, El Doherty fielders this week. So Simon, you've got a nervous wait to see if Doherty comes on for 1 point or Wan-Bissaka comes on for who knows what against Liverpool.
Yeah. Who benches Doherty as well?
I know.
Nobody. No. Nuno is obviously not a fancy.
To be honest, I wish I had now. But well, I'll come to my team. But there's a certain Chelsea defender first on my bench who, if Doherty comes on for 1 point, that's like double punishment, which will be typical. So let's move on to David's team as well. You've got a Chelsea defender as well, first on your bench.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. You've got money in the bank. you could have made 2 moves. You've got 2 free transfers. You've in fact made 1. So what is the fairly obvious move that you've made there?
Well, I moved Harry Kane to Rashford, like every man and his dog this week.
Yeah.
And we know why. Very easy to explain why, so I don't need to.
No.
In terms of what else I could have done, I mean, I'm sure there'll be people out there that will say that the money is like burning a hole in my pocket or something. But I just kind of alluded to it just now about that. Like I said, Simon's in a similar position to me, where I could have basically upgraded anyone to anyone that I wanted. You know, Snodgrass could have become anyone under 10.7. Richarlison could have become anyone under 12.1. So effectively, that's whoever I want. But the problem I actually had was that if I moved Snodgrass on to someone, you know, who was, you know, really decent, you know, a premium option like Dele Alli or Eriksen or De Bruyne, you know, I'd be in a situation, I'd have a bit of a bench headache because I'd have 8 attacking players who I'd all fancy to do well this week, because I'd have De Bruyne, Salah, Sané, Richarlison, Pogba, Jimenez, Barnes and Rashford. You know, who do you bench out of those 8 players? It's quite hard to choose. I guess it would be Barnes, but Barnes... I guess it would be Barnes, but I'd be doing that just on price, and I actually do think that I think he'll score, and he's still performing really well statistically as well. So I mean, anyone who's read the Captain Sensible article this week will see that theoretically Barnes has got a better chance of scoring this week than Aubameyang. He's got more shots than Salah and Hazard. Like the form that he's in, you know, he looks like a player who could bang this week. So
especially I think with De Bruyne as well. I guess we don't know if he would. Well, he's highly unlikely he will start, to be honest, on current form.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, with De Bruyne, I wasn't sure. Then looking at any of the Richarlison options, that wouldn't give me a benching headache, but it would just mean that any of the people I could sign for Richarlison were people who I could theoretically have to move on in game week 27 anyway. So if it's Hazard, if it's Sterling, or if it's any of the Spurs guys, those 4 players, if I sign that player, I know I need to move them on. I could potentially have to move them on in game week 27. Bearing in mind that I'm going to not be able to have Dean that week. I'm not going to be able to use Richarlison if I still had him. You know, hypothetical Sané, I won't be able to use that week. Barnes, I might not be able to use that week because I think they're playing Spurs. So I already have a sizable number of players who theoretically might not play game week 27. So I figured I'm happy with my 11. Although, of course, I'm now 1 man down and David Luiz is coming in. And, of course, the situation I've just, talked about benching headaches. Yeah, I might have needed to call on my bench. I'm going to possibly need to call on my bench anyway. But in terms of, I think if I'm happy with my 11, and I know I'm going to get more information about who is not going to play in game week 27 and who is in a couple of days' time, I can go into game week 24 with 2 free transfers still. Not also forgetting that there's the FA Cup 4th round as well, so we could end up with more injuries. I just kind of told myself, 5 million in the bank is a bit annoying. Like, I could spend it this week, but actually, if I don't spend it, I give myself the opportunity to make bigger changes next week when I know more about people's fitness and about the League Cup. So that's just the way I see it. It's long term again, rather than...
Yeah, so it sounds like you and Simon have got the same tactic, really. It's information being key here.
Absolutely.
And you made a good point with all the cup games as well. So we don't know if Spurs or Chelsea are going to have a blank game week coming up. We just don't know at this stage.
Exactly.
So and once you have that, because as you said, so in Simon's case, he's got his eye on Ali as well. And for you've got David Luiz already there as well. So it could influence what you do as well. And we've got those FA Cup games. We've already seen with Kane injury, so we could. I mean, that's a game changing injury with Kane. It's as if Salah was out as well, because they're so expensive. And once you get rid of them, I mean, both of you sitting there with 5 million in the bank and hopes and dreams ready, and plans being hatched already, and it's really good. It's a good time actually. Although
it's always actually really exciting when that happens. I mean, I love Kane. I think he's a great player. I don't wish any pain on any player. But whenever any highly owned fantasy player who's worth a hell of a lot of money gets injured, I see it as an exciting time, because I know this time it was a bit.
Try to tell him that.
Well, yeah, but it is an exciting time because it does shake up the template, doesn't it? And people have different options, because I mean, some people haven't. Not everyone's gone Rashford. Some people have gone Firmino, and it sends everyone off in different directions, and then it's always a bit more exciting.
Yeah, I think with this time, just currently at the moment, I think it has made more of a template. Unfortunately, I think most people have gone Rashford. Whereas with Kane, he was well owned, but he was a bit of a Marmite player really. So people obviously recognise Salah, but the need for Salah with the captaincy as well. But Kane wasn't really. I always felt like it was 50-50 really. Anyone I spoke to on Twitter or on Fantasy Football Scout about Kane, and people just weren't keen on him. Didn't feel it was necessary. And I quite enjoyed having Kane as a bit of it seemed like a differential as well.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right actually that in one sense, yeah, because most people moved him on to get Rashford.
Yeah.
I think where the difference is what people have done with the money.
Yeah, that's
right. What I mean is, I like, for example, I've saved it, Simon saved it, but some people have turned Masuaku into Ali, for example, or they've turned Richarlison into Sterling. So it's the money for me that's made the difference in terms of there's going to be lots of different teams this week, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
lots of variety.
Simon, looking at David's team there, is there anything that, I mean, he sounds like he's doing the right thing because it's a similar thing you're doing, kind of waiting. Do you see any possible potential moves he might consider?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's made the right decision, and I think I'm quite jealous of the defence in Robertson and Digne. I guess if I were David, what I might be looking at is Barnes. I think Barnes has got to deliver this week, otherwise, there's going to be fire sales for him ahead of. Is it United they've got next week? I know they've got a tough fixture.
That's right. Yeah.
And then actually fixtures after that aren't bad. So if you can afford to bench him, then fine. But if you've got 5 million in the bank, then he's probably the player that you're going to look to try and upgrade. So yeah, I could see potentially Firmino being a consideration, and as we discussed, Ali as well. But that's quite dependent on the cup games. But yeah, I mean, I think it looks like a really strong team, particularly for this week, and should be good for the next few weeks actually.
Okay, so in contrast to you two, in a rare move, here's my team, and I've just gone for it. Oh, what the hell! So I've got my 5 million in the bank because I did the Kane to Rashford move, and it didn't sit well with me having that 5 million ban. I had the 2 free transfers, and Firmino was another player I like. So my thought process, I went through it on the Scoutcast as well. I had these two ideas really. It was Højbjerg to Ali and go 3-5-2, and I like that a lot, and I still like that. And the other move was Ings out to Firmino. Now Ings is free to play. I say that loosely really. Problem with Ings, I've found owning him. I really like him. I really wish he was fit every week. But he's just not, and I just have to accept that. He's just not that player. He never has been. He's always been like this. And with blank game weeks coming up, I looked at that and I thought, yeah, sure, Ings might do some damage this week against Everton for me. He might get a couple of goals. But long term, do I want to be going into blank game weeks with a player like that who's just injured too much? And it's very frustrating. He's taking up a vital attacking place there. So I was kind of future-proofing my team a bit, really. And I like Firmino in terms... So we've been through this week his stats. He's got a great home record. I think it was only Mitrovic and Aubameyang can really challenge him, really, at the moment in terms of kind of those underlying stats for a home attacker. But he's also delivering as well. And it's all those home... It really matters with Anfield as well. It's such a fortress, such a great venue for Liverpool. They do well away, but they do so well at home. And looking at the next fixtures, so you've got Crystal Palace obviously today, then you've got Leicester at home, then West Ham away. That's a great fixture for them as well. And then Bournemouth at home before it gets slightly tricky with Manchester United in game week 27. At the same time, game week 27, I was looking at captains for game week 27. This was something that was pointed out to me by FPL Partridge on Twitter, just saying, look ahead, who are you going to captain game week 27? Pretty much it's Aubameyang. So Aubameyang is against Southampton. So maybe Manchester United against Liverpool. So Liverpool against Manchester United. So that's them out. Now also that could be Man City will I think, David, am I right in saying that's the fixture that Man City won't play if
The Everton one.
yeah, is that the one?
Yeah, Game Week 20. That's right. Yeah, Game Week 27.
That's going to be a blank for them.
That's yeah. That, unless
Burton Albion can
scored
win 10 goals against Man City.
So it's not completely.
So that's Man City out of the question, and then we don't know with Chelsea or Spurs. So that could be: do I really want to captain a Spurs player anyway? And then there's Chelsea as well. Do I really want to get in Hazard? All signs point to Aubameyang. So I wanted to give myself a route to get Aubameyang in, and Firmino is about $1.5 million or so less. I've got $1.5 million in the bank, and also I've got players like Alonso that I'm not sure I want, and Philippe Anderson as well. He's another kind of cash cow, and I'm just thinking, can I get Aubameyang in 2 moves? And that's what I want to work towards in Game Week 27, unless another captain emerges. But I think at the moment that's what I wanted to do, and I thought, why not give Firmino a few games? Because once again, he's one of those players that I like to own, but I'm also quite happy to ruthlessly ditch him as well. He's done me well recent seasons. Whenever I've taken him out, he does punish me. That's probably a good sign that he's a good player. I think I don't know. There's always a bit of a doubt with Firmino. I don't know what it is. And I'm going into the Liverpool's fixtures with Robertson, Salah, and Firmino. On one side, I think that's really good. It gives me confidence. But on the other times, that's a lot of eggs in a basket that, if they do flop against some of these teams, then that's a disastrous game week for me. But yeah, I don't know, either of you two, what do you think about the we know about the Rashford move, that's a no-brainer, but getting Firmino in, do you think I've made a mistake or okay with that?
I definitely don't think it's a mistake. I think he looks great for this game week, and I mean, to be honest, Liverpool's next 4 game weeks are fantastic, aren't they? On paper, so he's a really good option, and like you say, his stats are really good. I think, like you say, the concern is tripling up, and personally, I'm not a big fan of tripling up on any team, but if there's a team that you're going to do it with, that would be Liverpool with their current run of fixtures. So. And also, with a longer, with an eye on moving him onto Aubameyang, I think that's also a good move. So, I think it's a fairly sensible move. Was it for a hit, or did you have?
No, I had 2 free transfers.
Oh, nice.
I wouldn't have done it for a hit. I would have kept Ings and played him, and I was still thinking of doing that, but I just thought long term, and I wanted to structure. I'm a big fan of price points. On one of the Meet the Manager videos, we did an interview with Trigger Lips, who's very keen on that as well, and I like it as well because I want to be able to get any player I want in within 2 moves. And if you're thinking along the terms of price points, and so making sure that you have that budget that's there in attack. So if I went for Jimenez, Ings, and Rashford, and then I wanted to get Aubameyang, then that's a much bigger stretch. And you may have to take a hit or 2 in order to do that. But I always want to try and get 2 transfers. I just want to do the kind of, before we go, really, I just want to mention the guy that's first on my bench. I know I went on a bit about him on the Scoutcast, Alonso. I still own him, and a lot of people don't own him anymore. But now now I'm annoyed because with Doherty probably coming on, mostly the good Wolves players that get benched come on for 10-20 minutes, and I just know that is so. I've accepted it, that Alonso is going to punish me for this. But what do you?
I think.
Yeah. What do you think about
hard
Alonso?
on Alonso?
Yeah.
Because I mean, he is the second highest scoring defender in the game. I think as of last week he was the highest scorer, and he's the 7th highest scoring player, I think, of any player in the game at the moment. So he's not getting attacking returns every week, but he's getting clean sheets and he's getting bonus points, and I think for 6.5 million, that's pretty good return.
Yeah, do you know what? I think one of the reasons I haven't got rid of him yet, I think in the back of my mind, even though I absolutely hate him, because he's denying me of other points of other players, but it's that back of my mind. He is actually still good value. I suspect I'm going to be glad I kept him when he gets all his points this weekend.
There will be a game when he.
I was looking. I know I don't have the figures in front of me, but I was looking back at past Arsenal-Chelsea games because I was convinced that Hazard had done really well in them, and he has historically done okay. But it's not him that's done okay, it's Alonso. And every game I looked at, Alonso goal, Alonso, and I was thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And I could have made that move, put Alonso back in, but I've got him. And I think there was, looking at Chelsea's fixtures as well. So Bournemouth away, I'm probably going to be playing him in that. And Huddersfield at home, if I've still got him then, I'll definitely play him then. Because that's. But I just think this week I was looking at clean sheets because he hasn't had an attacking return since game week 11. This is probably the one where he'll break that. But I was thinking with my defence, I was thinking purely clean sheets here. And I just think Arsenal are going to score, and I think Chelsea are going to score. And I looked at Robertson, and I thought clean sheet against Palace, possible. Dean against Southampton, clean sheet, possible. Doherty against Leicester, clean sheet, very possible. And that was ultimately what it came down to. I just went for clean sheets this week. Anyway, yeah, I still
I think for this week, anyone who does have Aubameyang, it's a really good week for them because Chelsea defend so high up. A lot of the defensive solidity from Chelsea is actually down to the amount of possession that they have. But when they come up against a team that can break fast, we saw it with Spurs in the League Cup the other day. They are quite exposed, and we saw it also in the other fixture against Arsenal early on the season. So the way these two teams play is perfect for each other in a way. So touch wood, it should be a bit of a goal fest, and hopefully for me, Alonso will be part of that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, David, have you got your eye on Aubameyang as well? Just either in the future or a bit worried about him this week?
Yeah. No, I've got my eye on him because I think, as we pointed out before, just to kind of go back to game 27 again, he looks like a really strong captain candidate for that particular week at home against Southampton, when everybody else who you might consider is not quite so. We've discussed that. Yeah, there's just nothing. Because Liverpool, Man United are playing into it. So Aubameyang's possibly in my mind for that sort of reason. And then, of course, before then, you've also got Cardiff and Huddersfield as well, who I think that we can see from just looking at defensive data for those two teams that he will have plenty of chances against them. It's just that Man City game in the middle that puts me off because I don't know. I just don't fancy Arsenal in that particular game. But he's certainly on my radar, absolutely. I mean, the second that Kane got injured, basically every player ended up on my radar because you can have whoever you want. So, realistically. So, but I just wanted to go back to your Firmino thing, Joe, while we're talking about planning, and just say that I just one of the reasons I think it's a really good move is I know that it's a long way off, but obviously this week we've already started talking about the blank and double game weeks, and we've had the articles on the site discussing when they're likely to be and any strategies to go for. With Liverpool having, they're definitely going to be playing in 31 and 33, which look like they could be the blank game weeks where we potentially have a fair number of fixtures not playing. I think we can all remember last year a Liverpool triple up was just essential in that blank game week, and obviously they scored like 5 goals against Watford. And I think we are going to want to have a Liverpool triple up by game week 31, and if by getting your triple up settled now, if Firmino does kick on, which I think he has a good chance of doing, you're going to be in a great situation going into that period because you're not going to have to think about your Liverpool triple up because you've already got it. So I just think that you're way ahead of the curve on that as well, and it will definitely help you out in a couple of game weeks' time when we start.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I hope so. I mean, as I say, I've got it in my mind to actually ditch him at game week 27, but also at the back of my mind is I might need to keep him.
But that's what I mean. You'll have the opportunity to keep him, I think, and I think you might consider keeping him. I mean, because I basically, if thinking about my triple up, I don't know if I'm going to go it. Obviously, Salah's going to be one, Robertson's going to be the other, but it's between Firmino and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So it's up in the air for me. I don't know.
The thing with Trent Alexander-Arnold, that obviously there's no disputing. He's got that full gamut of points. He's got bonus attacking returns and obviously clean sheets as well, and he's got that value as well. But sometimes he's not playing, sometimes he's injured for weeks, and then it turns out to be days. And whereas with Robertson, I just don't have that. He's just rested every now and again. That's it, because his backup's Moreno, who's hopeless. So that's great. I know where I am with Robertson. I know where I am with Salah, and I think I know where I am with Firmino. But I'm not sure where I know where I am with Alexander-Arnold. And I don't really need the value because you've got Dean, and in a few weeks as well, game week 27, I think that's when Leicester's fixtures change. You've got Pereira in Leicester. He's a player I want.
Yeah. Leicester also out
I
of the
want
cup
him
as well,
more than
so-
I want Trent Alexander-Arnold. Simon, what's your take like looking at Liverpool going forward? Because it looks like having a good bunch of Liverpool players looks really advantageous, especially with other teams missing blank game weeks. Could be really handy. Are you thinking of a Liverpool kind of defensive double up at all, or you're happy just to go Salah and maybe one defender?
Definitely one defender, yeah. After defending Alonso just now, had Kane not been injured, my transfer this week probably would have been Alonso to Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay,
I was
yeah.
just thinking, actually, I wonder how many people took out Alexander-Arnold for a hit and bought in Doherty.
They would have done, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It would be even worse because I was talking to Neil on the on our press conference roundup yesterday, and he had taken Alexander. He had got basically, he was like a lot of people with the Alexander-Arnold news, taken him out and then found out that it's possibly only going to be a week that he's out as well. There's other people that even a worse situation. They would have got Alexander-Arnold in for Alonso perhaps, and then got him out again, panicked because they saw him out. And yeah, that's what I mean about him as a player. He's making people are going mad, and that's not
I
a good.
think for 5.2 million or whatever he is now, it's almost worth that risk as long as you're not depending on him playing necessarily every week. I think the thing that I'd be wary with tripling up with Liverpool is the fact that they do have some serious Champions League games coming up.
That's true, yeah.
And they don't have the deepest squad of players. They've got a really good first 11, and they've definitely strengthened really well this year. But I can see some of their key players getting rested going forward. And
I think I looked into that, and there is quite a big gap between the Champions League games, and it's because they're not involved in the cups. So they're out of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So that frees up time, a lot of time. And I looked at that, and that's why I feel slightly more confident with Firmino if I keep him that long.
It's true. It's more of a sort of preservation.
Like you don't want him to get injured. But there is a nice gap though for Liverpool, and it was more. This was what was putting me off Spurs slightly as well, because they're not only fighting in the League Cup, but they've got the FA Cup as well, and the Champions League, and the League, and they're without Son and Kane, and it was just all of these things added up, and it was slightly. But I do hope that those that got Ali in do really well. I want to see lots of those super sexy gifs of Buzz Light, super sexy Spanish Buzz Lightyear and Ali on my Twitter feed, and that would be good. That would warm my heart. But for now. David and Simon, good luck with the game week. And Simon, thanks so much for joining us. It'd be good to have you back again
thank you.
soon.
Yes, it's been great having you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, and goodbye, everyone.